There's certain types of people who burn out a lot easier than others, and certain ruts that even the most successful people can fall into that can cause them to burn out very, very quickly. And I want to go over those and also give you some simple ways to avoid burnout, just in case you fall into one of those categories. And there's really 3 traits to watch out for in yourself, as well as in the people on your team, because these are the 3 traits that are most common personality traits that make you more susceptible to burnout. The very first is the person who's a perfectionist and they need everything absolutely perfect, otherwise it stresses them out. And I could totally relate to that. The second is the pessimist, who can always find 3, 4, 5 reasons why something won't work and then stresses out about each one of those. And the third is the person who's really, really power hungry and needs to do everything themselves. Otherwise, there's just no way anything is ever going to get done well enough. And I know so many CEOs that fall into that category. And those are not the only traits. However, as a leader in your organization, it's important to ask yourself a handful of questions to make sure that you are not falling into any of those 3 areas. And it's equally important that you motivate your team to be positive and solution-focused and a team player. Because when you do that, it's like setting up this safeguard around yourself so that people don't lean towards perfectionism or pessimism or get caught up in being power hungry. And if I'm going too fast, just back up the video a little bit and re-listen to whatever you need to. But I've got a lot to cover here and I really want to give you as much value as I can. So I'm going to go a little bit quick. The easiest way that we can do any of this in business, get people focused in the right direction, no matter how big or how small you are right now, is to set up a handful of values that guide people to be more positive and solution focused and to be more of a team player at all times. Because, and this is really important, that builds a culture that breeds success instead of one that causes burnout. But what happens if you're already past that point and every day you kind of feel like you need a vacation? Well, here's a handful of ways to get yourself and also your team back on track if they're on the path to burnout. And before I hand you these, I want to give you a quick disclaimer, because employees are not as vested in your company as you are as the owner. So if you have an employee, especially somebody who's not been with you for all that long a period of time, or somebody who you might consider them a lower level employee, and they appear to be burning out, for example, if they're consistently promising you that they'll do more and more and more, but they never seem to deliver, or if they get that glossy look in their eye every single time you talk about reaching new goals, then it's very possible that those people cannot be brought back to their full potential. And I'm not saying that it's not worth trying. However, it's been my experience that if somebody's been with me for less than a year and they're feeling burnt out already, then there's a very good possibility they've already got their resume posted online someplace and they're looking to escape the pressure of their current position. But for everybody else, including yourself, curing burnout requires a change in stimulation. And this is where most people get this all wrong. Most people believe that when they feel like they're burning out, they need an escape by whatever, watching TV or by going out with their friends or by getting drunk or whatever the heck it is. But in reality, burnout is your brain craving a change in stimulation. And the moment that you give your brain what it wants, you'll feel amazingly re-energized and refocused and clear and just spot on with everything that you're doing. So if your job requires that you sit in front of a computer and you stare at a screen for 5, 6, or 8 hours a day, then you need a list of physical activities that you could do to get your body moving, which is the opposite of sitting, right? And the best activities would be ones that put you in nature, which might be staring at trees or the ocean instead of staring at a computer screen, right? We're looking for opposites here. So taking a day off and walking on the beach or walking through the forest will get you re-energized significantly faster than taking a day off and vegging out in front of the television, which has been proven over and over and over again to not recharge you and to actually make you feel more overwhelmed when you get back to work. Personally, I've been to the point of burnout several times in my life, and luckily, I was always able to get back on track by figuring out the right change of stimulus that I needed at that particular point in time. For example, when I was negotiating the sale of my very first big company, that was the first time that I was dealing with large law firms and astronomically high attorney fees and long nights of negotiation. And what I ended up doing was extremely unorthodox, but I think it saved me, and it kept me extremely fresh throughout the entire negotiation, which lasted nearly a freaking year. And I ended up sealing the deal in a far more successful way than I ever thought I could have done originally. At that time, the solution for me was taking flying lessons. So 3 days a week, I would show up at a small airport near my office, and I'd get into a plane and I would fly. And for those of you who have ever flown a small aircraft, you know that the moment you hit turbulence, or the moment you feel a little lost, or the moment that you fly a little bit too close to international airspace and they start yelling at you over the radio, there is nothing, and I repeat, nothing that you could focus on other than flying. Heck, I remember sweating in places that I didn't even realize a human could sweat in. And I remember my hands being so sore at the end of my very first solo flight because I was gripping the gears so incredibly hard. It doesn't make a difference, though, what you do. But the most successful people in the world regularly change the stimulation in their life in order to remain productive and effective at everything that they do. I've got friends who go hunting in their spare time. I have friends who go quad riding. I've got friends who go fishing. I've got friends that go on vacation once every couple of months because they know that the change in stimulus allows them to be more on their game when they return than if they just kept working without a break. But you could also just go for a walk someplace in nature, or get wrapped up in a good book, or go to the gym on a regular basis, or take a painting, or anything else that's a drastic change in what you normally do when you're working. Because that change of stimulus allows your brain to handle everything else so much better. Tell me in the comments below one thing that you do or that you could do that helps you to recharge. And then hit the subscribe button and the bell notification, because the next video is going to be something that you really don't want to miss. See you then.